This is Thames from London. The time is 10 o'clock. At ITN, Sandy Gall and Anna Ford.
Firemen, new offer to try and stop the strike. Miners accept 13%. Gormley says good sense. Judge frees man who raped a girl of 7. Italian earthquake survivors refuse to leave their homes. And why was this 18th century house bulldozed? Good evening. Firemen's leaders and their local authority employers are still locked in talks aimed at averting the one-day strikes due to start on Wednesday. It's understood there's been a new offer which the firemen are now considering. The talks have lasted several hours, 11 hours, and could go on through the night. Today, the employers hinted that they might be ready to meet the firemen's demands for the full 18.8% rise agreed with the last Labour government. But it's become clear that if they do, they want certain strings attached. Our industrial correspondent, Alistair Stewart, has been following the talks.
Well, after 11 hours of talking, there's still no settlement to the firemen's pay dispute. They've been talking, as I say, for 11 hours, both together and apart. But there's been no deal emerging from those talks as yet. But the firemen made it clear last week that unless there was something significantly new on the table, they wouldn't even bother turning up to today's talks. They did shortly after lunch, and they have been here for most of the day. The indications are tonight that a deal is emerging. The firemen will receive their 18.8% pay deal, but they'll have to give a significant undertaking to future job losses and a cutback in the fire service. That's something it's going to be very difficult for them to find a way of putting across to their members. But that seems to be the undertaking that's emerging from inside. One thing certainly is clear, that both sides want a settlement tonight. So they've got the job of finding that form of words which will satisfy both sides in the talks and, of course, the government, who at the end of the day are the paymasters. So there can really only be one of two conclusions from tonight's talks. Either that deal will emerge, or the firemen's one-day strike will go ahead as planned on Wednesday. At the moment, at least, the two sides are still talking. Alistair Stewart, News at 10, at the firemen's pay talks.
The miners have voted to accept a 13% pay deal. They'd originally demanded 35%. The ballot showed 117,196 in favour of the offer. That's 56%, and 91,498 against. The main opposition came from 5 areas: Derbyshire, Kent, Scotland, South Wales, and Mr. Arthur Scargill's men in Yorkshire. The miners' president, Mr. Joe Gormley, said it was good sense to take the money. He said, "I think the lads realised their jobs were at stake." But the Yorkshire leader, Mr. Scargill, said the miners could have got more money. Here's our industrial correspondent, Michael Green.
The ballot result must be regarded as a vindication of the moderate line adopted by the union's president, Mr. Gormley. The left campaigned strongly for a no vote, saying it would lead to a bigger offer. The right said the price of that would be fewer jobs and dearer coal for those who can least afford it.
I can never forget that we're in an industry that the consumers matter a lot. And not only the big consumers, I'm talking about the CGB and the Steel Board, I think about the millions of retired people who have sipped the coal all their lives, who will find it impossible to meet their needs in the winter if we to put the price of coal up outside their reach. Now, I've got to have regard to those people as well. See, I'll be soon joining them anyway.
The left's favourite to succeed, Mr. Gormley, said he's glad Yorkshire voted to reject, and the rejection needn't have led to a strike.
I don't think it would have led to a strike. Obviously, anything could have happened, but I'm satisfied in my own mind from talks that we've had with the board that had we continued to discuss the matter with them, we could have got a substantially improved offer.
Other groups with an eye to the miners' deal include 33,000 water workers. They're claiming a 30% rise from this month, and union leaders talk of a strong possibility of industrial action. 40,000 gas men, they want 23% in January, and say the government's 6% cash limit is irrelevant because of the industry's huge profits. And 85,000 electricity supply workers, with perhaps the ultimate in industrial muscle, are talking about 20% from March and claim the miners' deal is actually worth as much as 17%. So it's by no means all over bar the shouting as far as the winter pay round's concerned, but with the government under increasing pressure on the broader economic front, and particularly the rising level of unemployment, the fact that a protracted battle over miners' pay has been avoided will be a considerable relief. Michael Green, News at 10 at the miners' headquarters in London.
Workers at Ford's Halewood plant have rejected the company's pay offer of 9.5%, but they've said they don't want to strike. 9 other plants, including the majority at Ford's Dagenham works, have turned down the offer, and the other 14 factories will decide by Wednesday. British Leyland is to make nearly 1,400 workers redundant at its truck and bus plants in Lancashire because of falling sales. The company said they hoped to make the cutbacks through voluntary redundancies, but some compulsory redundancies were also likely. 3 plants will be hit at Preston, Chorley and Leyland. Traditionally, the truck and bus division has been a profit maker for Leyland. They broke even for the first 6 months of the year, but they're now expected to report a loss for the whole of 1980.
A man who admitted raping a girl of 7 has been given a 2-year suspended jail sentence. David Horn, who's 36 and lives in Brentford, Middlesex, also pleaded guilty to 3 charges of indecent assault. His defence lawyer pleaded that Mr. Horn had been having problems with his marriage, and the court was told that he was of low intelligence. The judge, Mr. Justice Drake, said at Leicester Crown Court, "I'm more concerned with the effects on the child than on the defendant. You behaved lamentably to this girl, and I'm only taking this exceptional course with you because I don't feel any useful purpose to society would be performed by sending you to prison."
In Italy, 2 more people have been rescued from the rubble of their homes 8 days after the earthquake which devastated 6 southern provinces. Government figures now show that nearly 3,000 have died, 1,500 are missing, over 7,000 are injured, and 300,000 have been made homeless. A government plan to evacuate the worst-hit areas and house people in tourist hotels isn't working. Many people are refusing to leave their ruined homes because they're farmers who can't leave their livestock. Derek Taylor has been to Muro Lucano, the first place due to be evacuated.
There was an air of panic in the little main square of Muro Lucano this morning. The people had heard and half understood that the government wants to move them all out and then demolish their town. Compared with other places, few died in Muro, about 20 in all. But 70% of the houses were destroyed or made unsafe. So there's a massive accommodation problem here, at least 6,000 homeless. Some, with nothing more to lose, have packed up and left. But others, despite the squalid conditions in the tent city,